So it's Christmas, right? It's my go time. And I was feeling like, ugh, today. And then I get home, I'm like, I'm just gonna sit around. But there was some items that I needed that could only be gotten out of town. I had checked other stores and I needed to get them because otherwise, how's Christmas gonna be magical? And I needed to get them soon. So I decide I'm gonna go and drive out of town. I'm like, oh, it's dark. I don't want to drive in the dark. I'm like, oh my goodness, you're not that old. You can drive in the dark. It's fine. So I get the items. Well, I get the first set of items, and I wasn't sure that this place would have the item, and they did, and it's the only place that has it. So as a Secret Santa gift, and I text a friend. They had it. There's still some there. If I flip my truck into the river and drown and the truck is never recovered, I expect you to drive and get that and give it to the person. Yes, I did really actually send that text. It was a little bit shorter, but that was the basic idea. And the friend agrees that she would do that through tears. I'm like, I don't care about your tears. Make sure they get, I'm not die in vain. Okay. So then I go and I find the other items that are in stock. Whew. Okay. So I'm done, right? Excellent. I'm driving home. I'm feeling good. I'm like, see, you you were fine. You didn't need to worry. That feeling that seemed like something was off, it was good that you ignored it. I am now, what my exit is the next exit, okay? When this guy comes screaming past me on the freeway, I'm in the right lane, he's in the middle lane, going fast. Not erratic, crazy fast. And then he becomes a little bit erratic. He's straddling the line like that. Why is he straddling the left and middle lane line? Because there's a car in the left lane. And then he goes a little bit back into the middle. I'm like, okay, homeboy's gonna get it together. And then he goes back into the left. I'm like, oh no, homeboy. And then all of a sudden, he's gone. And there's this cloud of dust that looks like smoke. Homeboy has now gone off the road. And I'm like, oh snap, this fool. So I'm driving, but I'm not calm like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy just died. So I call 911. I get to the road where he's at, and I'm on the phone with them, and his car is upside down and crunched. And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest. For a second, Miss Rocky thinks, do I really want to see this? And I'm like, no, you have to be a good citizen. So 911's like, so are you gonna get out and check? And I'm like, yes, I'm getting out to check. She's like, okay. There are other people there though. They have now that have come to this frontage road, and they're attempting to do something. So I see on the driver's side, it's smushed, and there's just part of the airbag out, and it's covered in blood. And I'm like, oh no, I do not want to see this. I do not want to see this. And the dispatch is like, so I'm like, I think he's dead. And she's like, I'm gonna need confirmation of that. I'm like, okay, he's not dead. I don't know, right? So then I go on the other side, I can't see. So finally I see the guy is alive. Okay, he's alive. All that's wrong with him, he's now crawling out the back of his crushed vehicle. I don't understand how he was able to do this. Anyway, his hand is cut. This fool, always the drunk guys that survive. I mean, I'm glad he's alive. I'm very glad. On the other hand, he could have killed people on the freeway, but additionally, where he ends up kind of landing is right near a house that if he had just been a skosh to the right, he would have crashed into their house, and they have a propane tank in the front of it. P.S. The lady that lived there heard the crash, comes out with her daughter. I'm sitting there next to her. This guy was a piece of work. And she's heated. I mean, she's quietly heated because she's like, oh, good, we didn't die. CHP gets there. He starts mouthing off to her, and he's like saying some very inappropriate words. And Ms. Rocky's like, boy, give me a reason. And I'm like, no, you can't be crazy. But the girl next to me who could have died because her house was right there is like, he's his behind. I'm just like, ooh, boy, you better watch it because we're about to just, Anyway, everyone survived, and we're very happy about that. But here's my point. Remember when we read Emerson, and it said, trust thyself, every heart vibrates that iron string. And he says to trust your intuition and to go with your gut, even if you can't explain it. And I told you that you should listen. You should listen, is my point. Because every time I've had a feeling and I just pushed it away, I've almost died. Technically, I didn't really almost die. Well, when it got the dust and there were people behind me, and then, trust thyself. The good news is everyone's alive, and I got my shopping done. So, Merry Christmas.